So we promised all this stuff, we're not delivering at all.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to say is, look, if we can't do it all, what should we do first?
Right.
What are the smartest things?
One of the things I worked on, one of the relatively early documents in the Sustainable Development Goal world, that was the Secretary General's report on sustainable economic development. That was about 15 years ago. And one of the things I found very peculiar about it is actually what tilted me over towards your work eventually was that there were 200 goals. And I thought, that's a lot of goals. It's like at some point you have so many goals that really what you're saying is we're going to do everything at once. And that's a stupid plan because any one of the goals is actually quite difficult to attain. You have to build a structure and systems that will move towards the goal, and you have to put the spending in place, and you have to evaluate the outcome. It's actually very difficult. You have to build the local apparatuses. And so I asked the powers that be why the hell there were 200 goals, and their answer was, well, each of the priorities has a constituency somewhere spread across countries or in a given country, and we don't want to offend anyone by rank ordering our priorities. And I thought, well, that's all well and good. Plus the upside of that from a political perspective is that you get all the moral cachet of being concerned about everything that you would be concerned about if you were good, without any of the responsibility for actually doing any of the difficult work. And so you can go to COP26 or whatever the hell it is and posture on the world stage about your commitment to these wonderful goals and appeal to 200 different constituents and walk away while having agreed to spend a tremendous amount of money stupidly, but shining, at least in your own eyes and in the eyes of the press. And so then I was looking around, I thought, well, there must be someone somewhere sensible enough to understand that 200 goals is absurd. And the only group that I could really find that had a method for rank ordering priorities was your team.
So Dr. Peterson's chatting up Bjorn Bloomberg, an economist with a penchant for ranking things. They're dissecting the absolute dumpster fire that is the 200 Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, seriously, who came up with that number? It's like trying to juggle flaming torches while riding a unicycle. Impressive, but ultimately pointless and dangerous. Peterson, in his signature Kermit the Frog meets Sigmund Freud voice, is questioning why there were 200 goals in the first place. The response he gets is masterclass in political doublespeak. We don't want to offend anyone by rank ordering our priorities. Ah, yes, because heaven forbid we actually prioritize our planet's survival. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Now, the beauty of the 200 goal strategy is that it allows politicians to bask in the moral glow of their own alleged virtue without actually doing anything. It's like a buffet of feel-good, do-nothing policies, perfect for snacking on while you schmooze at COP26 or whatever highfalutin climate summit you're attending. But here's the kicker. Peterson, ever the optimist, thought there had to be someone out there with a shred of sense. Someone who realized that 200 goals is about as absurd as expecting a lobster to sing the national anthem. And that's where our hero Bjorn Bloomberg comes in, the knight in shining armor with a PowerPoint presentation and a plan for prioritizing the world's problems. Bloomberg's the voice of reason in this tragicomic hellscape of indecision, and together with Peterson, they're like the Batman and Robin of common sense, if Batman wore tweed and Robin sported a PhD. So let's raise a toast to the dynamic duo as they strive to cut through the red tape and bring order to the chaos that is global policy. Because as they say, the road to hell is paved with 200 well-intentioned but ultimately useless goals. So in the midst of the bureaucratic madness, our fearless heroes, Jordan the Lobster Whisperer Peterson and Bjorn the Prioritizer Bloomberg, forge ahead in their quest for a saner, more efficient world. It's like Thelma and Louise, but with less driving off cliffs and more PowerPoint presentations. You see, folks, the key to solving the world's problems isn't to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. It's about making tough choices and focusing on what matters most. Kind of like choosing between attending your mother-in-law's birthday party or binge watching your favorite Netflix show. We've all been there. Lomborg and Peterson come to the rescue with their methods of ranking priorities, a radical concept that just might save us from drowning in an ocean of well-meaning but poorly executed initiatives. Who knew that taking a structured approach to solving problems could be so groundbreaking? It's as if they've unlocked the secret to not only tackling our planet's most pressing issues, but also making sense of the seemingly endless list of chores your significant other left on the fridge. No need for Marie Kondo. We've got Lomborg and Peterson to tidy up our policy mess. But let's not forget the real stars of this show, the politicians and bureaucrats who made this tragic comedy possible. Without their uncanny ability to create 200 goals and then pat themselves on the back for a job well done, we wouldn't have the heartwarming tale of Peterson and Lomborg, two men on a mission to bring order to chaos. As our saga continues, Jordan, 12 Rules for Life Peterson, and Bjorn, the rational economist Lomborg, embark on a journey to teach the world about the power of prioritization. They're like the Ghostbusters of the policy world, except instead of busting ghosts, they're tackling the phantom menace of bureaucratic inefficiency. Our dynamic duo takes their act on the road, spreading the gospel of common sense and rank ordering priorities. Along the way, they encounter politicians who have mastered the art of virtue signaling without actually doing anything useful. It's a skill that's as impressive as it is infuriating, like a magician who can make your wallet disappear, but can't quite seem to find it again. But fear not, dear audience, for our heroes are undeterred. Armed with spreadsheets, pie charts, and a steely determination to cut through the red tape, they forge ahead in their noble quest. They're like the Blues Brothers of international policy on a mission from, well, not God, but let's just say a higher power of logic and reason. In a world where it seems like everything is on fire, sometimes literally, Peterson and Lomborg stand as beacons of hope. They remind us that while the situation might look bleak, all is not lost. As long as we're willing to roll up our sleeves, make tough choices, and tackle the most pressing problems first. It's like trying to decide whether to save your house from a raging inferno or deal with the pesky gopher in the garden. The answer should be obvious, and yet here we are as our intrepid policy crusaders continue their journey. Let's take a moment to reflect on the absurdity of it all. In a world where chaos reigns supreme, it's comforting to know that there are still people like Peterson and Lomborg fighting the good fight. As the adventures of Jordan the Professor Peterson and Bjorn the Efficiency Guru Lomborg continue, they find themselves in a veritable labyrinth of policy initiatives and bureaucratic red tape. It's like navigating an IKEA store with no exit signs, only the stakes are much higher and there are no meat moles to be found. But in the maze of indecision and conflicting priorities, our heroes remain steadfast. They're like the Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson of the policy world, uncovering the clues that will lead us to a brighter, more sustainable future. On their journey, Peterson and Lomborg encounter a motley crew of colorful characters. There are politicians who have never met a goal they couldn't simultaneously embrace and ignore, and bureaucrats who could give lessons in how to create the perfect policy smokescreen. Together, these masters of obfuscation have created a world where progress is measured in press releases rather than tangible results. But fear not, dear friends, our dynamic duo refuses to be deterred. Armed with their trusty calculators and a healthy dose of righteous indignation, they slice through the morass of meaningless goals and empty promises like a hot knife through butter. They hold town hall meetings, appear on podcasts, and even write op-eds in an effort to spread their message of prioritization far and wide. It's like a grassroots movement for the policy wonk set. Think Woodstock, but with fewer flower crowns and more PowerPoint presentations. As their message begins to resonate, a glimmer of hope appears on the horizon. People from all walks of life start to realize the power of tackling our most pressing problems first, and the tide begins to turn. It's like watching the Grinch's heart grow 3 sizes in real time, only with fewer singing who's and more impassioned debates about cost-benefit analysis. Peterson and Bloomberg's valiant efforts serve as a reminder that no matter how bleak things may seem, there is always hope, as long as we're willing to face the challenges head-on and prioritize what truly matters. Thank you.